Now I understand. You want to be a comedian. You've written out all the jokes. You've learned the fundamentals of comedy joke writing. You've watched all the videos online and on YouTube about how you can be a comedian, and yet you still haven't actually performed on stage. And you keep turning up to open mics saying that, well, one day I'll give it a go, but for now I'm only here to observe and watch. And the more you do that, the more you start to question, do you even have the ability to stand alongside these other people? Because why the hell would they listen to you? You're just not able to connect that way like the other comedians are. You're a little too weird to connect to an audience. You're not really worth it anyway, after all. You're focusing on all the wrong areas. So I'm going to break this video down into 3 sections. The first one is understanding our fear of performing comedy. The second one is practical ways we can overcome it. And the third one is building experience and a little bit more belief in ourselves every time we go on stage. And I guarantee you this video is going to help those of you who have still not performed comedy, or perhaps you've done one gig, it didn't go very well, and you're terrified to get back up there again. This video and the entire channel is dedicated to you if you're starting out in your comedy career. I've got tons of videos on comedy writing, comedy performance, and career development, so I urge you to hit the subscribe button and join the community. If you have a performance you would like me to critique in a positive way and tell you what more you should be working on, well, all the information in how to go about getting that is in the description box. We can do it privately and I can send you a video with me critiquing your performance, or you can give permission for me to use it public and I will upload it on this channel and we can all benefit from it. So, again, information in the description box. Let's jump into today's video. So number one, first off, understanding the fear. Why is it so smothering to us every time we want to get up on stage and express ourselves in front of a room full of strangers? Well, that sentence alone is very scary. This is why the open mic scene is so important to you at the beginning. Your open mic experience, certainly your first 5 or 6 gigs, not just your first gig, your first 5 or 6 gigs is just about one thing. What it's like to hold a microphone and speak to the audience. That is it. That is all you need to figure out. Being funny, being the best in the room, remembering all your jokes, that is not important at all. Yeah, it's good to remember as much as possible, but you're not going to remember all of the bits. You are always, at the beginning of your career, going to walk off that stage and 10 minutes later, you're going to realize you missed out what you thought was a vital piece of material in order for that set to work. It happens to everybody. The truth is, it wasn't vital because most likely the material isn't very good. Great, it doesn't matter. You still got on the stage and you performed, and that's all you need to do. Not by turning up in the room to just watch and observe comedy before you give it a go. Don't do that. You're only going to start thinking that the people who have the guts to get up there are better than you or are more talented. They're not. They're shitting themselves just as much as you would be if you were actually giving it a go on that night. The only thing is, you don't see it because you're too busy shitting yourself. And when it's your turn to get up there and perform, yeah, it's very nerve-wracking, but they're all too busy shitting themselves to even pay attention to how hard you're shitting yourself. It's a bloody shitfest. So let's move on to the second part of this video, which is practical strategies to overcome fear of performing comedy. Well, obviously, stage time is key. The problem is you haven't been on stage once, and that's crippling you because the fear is just too much to overcome. Well, here's my advice. Do not book yourself onto one show. Book yourself onto 2 or 3 shows and try and make them so that the bookings are close together. If the first one goes really bad, you simply don't have the time to get all down in the dumps and feel sorry for yourself because the second one is coming up. If your first gig didn't go well, that's as bad as that is ever going to feel. It's the important thing to remember here. You're still alive. You most likely weren't attacked by every member of the audience in a most violent way possible because you didn't perform well. I mean, the chances of that happening again are slim. And it probably won't happen to you. So better off just getting the first gig over and done with, treat it like nothing, and just try and have some fun and don't worry too much about the material. Perhaps you're going to say the exact same material again in your second set. And what if you want to make it 5% better and you think, well, one joke worked, maybe I can make that joke better. Well, great. But if one joke didn't work and you just got the material out of your mouth into the microphone and it kind of went down fine, brilliant. That's a good outcome. That's perfectly fine, because you're not even going to remember or care about that first set when you're 20 sets in. If you've done 50 open mics, you're not going to remember the 20th time you did it. Look forward to becoming the comedian that's done 100 open mics and is now starting to think ahead to doing maybe 10 or 15-minute sets. Or maybe you're hired to do a wedding or a corporate event after 150 gigs or 100 gigs or even 50 gigs. You don't know yet your potential because you won't give it a go because you're shitting yourself. Well, stop shitting the bloody pants and get on that stage. Okay, the last one I have to cover is building confidence through experience. It's important to keep a journal of the progression of your character when you're on stage. Who is it you are becoming when you're up there? What are the beliefs of the person you have on stage? How far are you willing to go with jokes? Are you going to be a shock comedian? Are you not? This is where you can really dive into who you are and try and figure out this fictional version of yourself. The more you understand who it is you become when you're up there, the easier it's going to be for the audience to be on board with that person. So always be paying attention to how you're being perceived up there, and that will help you greatly in tapping in to that fictional character, and you can wear them as a mask to hide the insecurities you have. Of course, it's also really important to celebrate small wins. Every time you do a writing session, every time you send an email to a venue for a spot at an open mic, and more importantly, every time you get off stage, it should be a moment to give yourself a pat on the back and realize that you are going in the direction that you really deeply inside know you should be going. You have something to say to these people. Your own crazy experiences of how you go about life and how you observe things from day to day and what it is you do and all of the connections in your life. You can express all of that on stage and have an audience laugh and be entertained by it and bring them all together. And maybe you can become, every now and then, the best act that night has. All you need to do that is go back to the basics of just being in the moment. You're a person on stage holding a microphone talking to strangers. And if I can overcome it and get on stage and perform and I'm an idiot, well, so can an idiot like you. Does that do it for you? Hopefully it does. Tell me, what gig are you excited about performing at? Have you sent the email? Let me know in the comment section. Every time I hear someone coming into the comment section saying that they've just done their open mic, that's one of the best comments I can ever receive. So thank you, keep sending them. And if it's you that needs to send me that comment about your first ever open mic, go email them right now. Tell me you've emailed them and then report back and tell me if you absolutely smashed it and they loved it or you died on your ass. Either way, who gives a fuck?